Hello, my name is Lillian Reyes, and I am proudly representing Troupe 821. I will be doing costume design for Snow White, the Queen's Fair Daughter, adapted by Max Bush. The show mainly follows the original Grimm brothers' tale, where a young woman is abandoned in the woods, but saved by 7 dwarves and eventually taken in return for cleaning their house and setting food on the table. It is a fairy tale set in 16th century Europe. One big difference in this adaptation of the story is the fact that the evil queen is Snow White's biological mother, rather than a stepmom. Concepts and motifs throughout Snow White's costumes are gold borders on her dress, the late 15th century to early 16th century clothing, symbolic colors of white, red, and blue, and square necklines. She is also associated with roses several times throughout the show. Due to our minimal budget, we are unable to fully realize these costumes. Since we don't hand make them, we try to match the costumes the best we can using our storage, though we can also search for pieces at local thrift stores like Goodwill or Value Village. We also need these costumes to be simple enough to change in and out of very quickly without wasting time, but also not sacrificing the look that we want. Something that is very essential to our costumes is the fact that they need to fit our actress. The script calls for 2 separate actors, or can call, one that plays her younger self and one that plays her older self, but since we only had one actor playing Snow White, we needed all the dresses to fit her. As said before, we also must be able to get her out of her costumes in very quick moments, especially since 2 of the costumes are used for such a minimal amount of time. We also have to make sure that these costumes aren't too tight and restrict her movement too much, but they also need to be true to her time period. We also wanted them to be original, since my director does not want to copy-paste the Disney version of her, but we need to make her recognizable enough to where people know that she's Snow White. Though Snow White is said to be based in Germany, due to practicality, I chose just general European clothing, specifically earlier 16th century to late 15th century, due to its more simplistic and unrestricted nature. As you can see, the clothing on this slide is regal yet simple. Germany often wore very embellished clothing with tight sleeves with the slashed sleeves as well. They also wore many pieces of jewelry and extra things that would just make it way too complicated and way too much of a hassle to put on her in such a short amount of time. So as you can see, these simpler costumes would be much easier to pull off. These are the costume changes, when they would happen, what to do. As you can see, some of them are very tight, as you can see in the second and third one, where these changes happen on the same page. These are my preliminary sketches. The colored one is my first attempt at the costumes. I felt that this one was too mature and didn't correctly show her personality and her change throughout the show. I felt that she looked too old and it just didn't really represent or go for what I was trying to do. Everything else are the basic sketches for the rest of everything that I did. This is her first costume. Staying true to the script meant that I gave her a white dress with gold trim. I made her sleeves a little bit shorter than what they would be for the time period, and I made her dress way shorter. I believe that it would give her a younger appearance because a long gown would probably be associated with older women. I think that the shorter waist, or the higher waistline that I gave her, despite it being not accurate to the time, also gives off a more innocent, more youthful appearance. Same with the color white, as it is supposed to be symbolic of innocence in many cases. This is her gown for her coming of age ball that they mention. This costume would be a 2-piece, one at the top and the skirt. It would be a zipper hidden by the black veil on her hair. The color red signifies her maturity. It can signify her mom, and also like increasing danger. As you can see that there is still white in this costume due to the fact that she's transitioning into maturity. Her hair is also down, as it is said that her father takes down her hair to show her that she is much older now and is ready to be a woman. This is her morning after dress. She wears this the day she's abandoned in the forest. The red symbolizes her mother, and it is the fullest red costume due to the heightened nature of the relationship and the eventual cutting off of their relationship. While in the woods, she would cover herself with the white shawl to kind of symbolize her closing this royal life that she has into whatever happens to be in her future. This is her post-time skip costume. This is 2 years after her abandonment and living with the dwarves. She is wearing time-accurate work clothes, though with creative liberties, since she is fetching like water and pails and doing other things that she would wear these clothes. The green would be a thing to associate her with the dwarves in order to show that she's a part of that group, and it's modest and it's nature and it's out in the woods, the middle of nowhere. And the blue signifies freedom and love, and the rose is a reference to her love interest, Roland, but the color of the rose indicates that she is not yet out of the woods when it comes to her mother. She is also wearing silver rose earrings. This is her final gown. Blue was often a color of marriage at this time, and it also represents the love of her life and her love life finally blooming. The lack of red is to show that she's free from her mother after she's finally taken away after her attempts at, murdering her. Though her red lips and cheeks will always stay that color, and I suppose you could say that it's kind of a connection that she will forever have since she is her child. But she will always maintain these white colorings because she continues to have such a fun-loving and optimistic personality despite everything that happens to her. And these are all the ones, minus the one that is behind my camera, apologies. And that is it.